Hey yo, what a div, y'all. Let's get right into it. I come to y'all with a little bit of a tale, right? A little bit of a tale. Because you guys saw I made a video starting to talk about crafting in PoE, and as I started to really dig deeper down that hole of how do I explain crafting in PoE, plus playing some D4, as well as, playing a little bit of Torchlight as well to get ready for the new season that's coming up soon. And I realized that my new biggest problem with trying to explain crafting is actually how much there is to explain, which led me down another rabbit hole of its own that brought me to making this video. Complexity in PoE is not a good thing, not the way that we talk about it being a good thing. And this takes time to unpack. I give it a moment, right? But just generally speaking, I don't think that the complexity of the game is like as big of a selling point for me as it once was when I got into it, right? When I got into the game back in 2018, 2019-ish, Synthesis League. When I got into the game, the idea of a really complex and deep ARPG was really appealing, and a game that I could really like sink my teeth into, understand at depth, and really like expand my understanding. It really will just work my nerd brain, right? And you're like, you're not a nerd. That's a damn lie. I'm not a nerd. I am a nerd. I literally have a channel where I make videos talking about video games. I am a nerd. And I love this shit. But this game is extremely excessive in the way that it like does this, really. The sheer volume of things going on in PoE is absurd. The complexity of the game is honestly a turnoff. And so I'm going to take some time to talk a little bit about how the complexity like really does open up some of these problems, to also just kind of give you guys some enlightenment as far as why you might not have seen me make more crafting videos yet or anything in that vein, because I've just kind of realized it is difficult to explain this game. All right, so if you find this video useful, or if you're like, it's just an interesting topic, whatever, consider liking, commenting, subscribing with notifications on, all that good stuff. Now, to start out, I need to define complexity really quickly. Like a dictionary definition of complexity works perfectly fine. I'm modifying it slightly to give a little bit more concept between the idea of depth and complexity, because I feel like these two terms get used interchangeably a lot when talking about video games in particular, but especially ARPGs. And I don't think they are one and the same. Depth has to do with the amount of different things that you can get good at. Complexity refers more to the difficulty associated with getting good at those things. And this distinguishment is very important to me because of a third term, obscurity. The ability to actually access the information relevant to learning insert thing here is also a part of this discussion, right? And making that distinction allows me to actually talk about complexity in PoE, because I do not think that PoE has a depth problem. Like, the depth of PoE is fantastic. The depth of PoE is what makes it appealing. The idea that there's so many different types of end game content to invest your character towards, so many different types of mechanics to optimize around for currency making in trade. The fact that there are so many different ways to go about crafting your gear, right, etc. The actual list of options being as broad as it is a major selling point for the game. Honestly, probably its biggest, outside of the raw zany ass gameplay from like Headhunter footage, right? Outside of stuff like that, the biggest pull for PoE is its depth, but it loses so much value and potential like whole in its complexity, right? You get into all of these ideas, but everything is quite complex, honestly. The crafting system is nightmarish. Mapping system is still a bit of a nightmare of a system to navigate your way through. I saw a great Reddit post actually of someone who like is level 99 on a character, and had done who knows what on the character, did not know that there was supposed to be a sixth map device slot, right? Just because there's so much going on, and that information is partially obscured. And so I need to tie these two terms, complexity and obscurity, together real quick, because I think not even think. I know that once we have this part of the discussion, the rest of this gets easier for all of us to like talk about openly, which is obscurity is not complexity. Just straight up, that's not a good, like, if you want something that's complex, something that's hard to work on, that is different from it being hard to figure out how to work on. Obscurity has to do with the availability of the information, right? Here's a really, really good example of what I mean. Back in Expedition League, when we got ROG initially, right? You guys are probably familiar with the fact that ROG highlights the line that he's going to remove when he says, remove one modifier of the lowest level. That highlight was not there originally. The original state of ROG just had him say that line, and then people press it thinking they're going to remove the low tier res off the item, only to find out that it's actually their +1 cold, because +1 cold is a level like 2 mod or some shit, right? Like that's something that you like find out the hard way. That we found out in the hard way back then, that got patched in, because that's not complexity. That's obscured information that is needed in order to make good decisions in the learning of a complex system. Another example of this, if you think back to the release of Harvest, the tags were not actually on the items and the modifiers themselves yet. You didn't know that, you know, fire resistance on your piece was considered a fire mod and a resistance mod at the time. We knew it, but we didn't know it, because like common sense says, yeah, it should be counted as both of those things. But at the same time, there are plenty of times that you can think of where you thought a mod should have a tag and didn't, or a related one, curses having the caster tag, for example. You are triggering something on hit. How the hell does that give it a caster tag? You're not casting the spell. And it's like, well, it's a spell though, but not every socketed gem thing actually fits. Not every socketed spell related thing actually fits underneath the caster tag, right? So consistently inconsistent means that it's needs to be laid the fuck out. And historically, a lot of information in PoE, even to this day, is not well laid out in the game, right? Like there's a lot of information that is very critical to understanding of systems that is more or less unfigurable, like undiscoverable, if you don't know about the third-party sites and tools that we use to have access to that information. That's what the problem. Obscurity fucks up our idea of complexity. I firmly believe that systems in this game would be so much easier to understand if the information around them was not strange and hidden awkwardly. Which, by the way, I mentioned the tag thing for the Harvest. I realized I meant to make a second point of that. Harvest was not the first mechanic to make use of the tag system. It was just the one that people finally interacted with, and therefore GGG got forced to make that information front facing. What do I mean by this? Well, Metamorph came out 2 leagues prior with the catalysts that scale things based on those tags, right? We didn't have those tags in game at that time. You go further back in time to Delve League with fossils that use those exact same tags actually for crafting purposes. Those tags still were not present in game either. You were forced to rely on, again, common sense gets you pretty far, but we all know that this is PoE, and sometimes common sense don't really make that much sense, right? So, obscurity, that ruins a lot of this. And it's the number one complaint with a lot of the potential complexity and beauty that comes with the game, is that they achieve a lot of the mystery and frustration and like aura almost. I hate the word, but like fuck it, the aura that comes with being able to do these feats by making it hard to even figure out how the fuck it works in the first place. That's not good. Now, back to complexity, because complexity itself is actually pretty cool. The idea that there is levels of intricacy to interacting between the crafting mechanisms in the game, for example, is beautiful. The way that you can drop a fractured item, or maybe you maybe it's you're essencing an item or you're harvesting or whatever an item until it has mods that you then want to toss a fracturing orb on. You hit the fracture you want, you throw more essences of a different kind on it so that you can continue rolling and hit a mod that you actually want. Then you combine that with bench crafts and then add some harvest and the veiled orb from betrayal, and it creates this beautiful item, right? Or, you know, you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'm going to fossil spam this chest piece. Oh, I got to roll. Let me see if I can fracture this maybe. Or maybe it's, I'm going to out scour, or really it usually ends up being alt spamming for suppression on a base. Then I'm going to make it fracturable. Then I'm going to fossil it, etc. Or now we have the recombinator, right? Which the recombinator, by the way, falls under the category of complex, not obscure. The recombinator does exactly what it says on the surface. The fact that the mechanics of the recombinator and the math that people have figured out on how it works took some time, that's complexity. That's not supposed to be front-facing information. That's not information that immediately informs base level decisions, right? But again, we talk about like modifier tags. That's base level information. Available mods on an item. That's base level information. You could argue that something that shouldn't have been obscured about recombinators is the way that it functions with what is considered the category of exclusive modifiers and the list of exclusive modifiers. That's something that probably shouldn't have been obscured. But like, that's like the only thing that really falls in that category of obscured information regarding recombinators. The actual mechanics and the math behind it, that's something you're supposed to test / data mine and then work out a method around. That's the complexity. And then you weave all that information together to create methods that are creating the gear that you saw on people in the gauntlet, for example. Complexity, when done right, is beautiful, gorgeous, and a fantastic selling point. It's just, in a lot more cases than not, I feel like obscurity gets in the way of the complexity of the game. What is the point of me saying all this, though? The point of me saying all this really is the fact that I realized in trying to explain how crafting works in this game, I ran into too many walls where I felt like I was going to have to spend a lot of time bringing down the veil around obscured information. Specifically, with the amount of people I've realized who don't actually know the full mod lists of various items, or how to check that information, or like any of that shit, right? Like the information that, like, granted to me is so basic, like, duh, just go open Path of Exile and take a look around and find out what's in all the different subcategories, right? But the fact that it's like not something that's easily available, or like easily, right, available in game, something that can be displayed and checked literally anywhere, is a problem. That's a barrier to entry to crafting that shouldn't exist, because it's not about the interacting with the system at that point. It is weird information that they pretend is hidden. Emphasis on pretend, right? Just like back in Synthesis League, when they thought that the results of using the synthesizer was going to be hidden. And what did we do? We data mined the fuck out of it, because hidden information is not good. Like, you can't hide information. Like, hiding shit like that, it sounds really cool. Then you realize that but people will do what they can. And in a situation where people are just pulling up the information, you would behoove yourself as a company to just put this information in the game. And I refuse to believe it's that difficult to pull off. Like, you should be able to read off a full list somewhere in the game. It shouldn't be ridiculous to say, like, put an item in the crafting bench and have it like read that stuff off. You know, another thing of like decently obscure information, but also complexity based information is like mod tag sharing. Again, one part common sense, one part not common sense, right? Because sometimes finding out that like the attribute mods overlap weirdly is a little strange, for example. Or the way that like the various like percent mods, right? You know, percent fire and percent cold on the same wand cannot happen. It's the same group of modifiers, right? And why do both of those share group with percent spell damage? Well, we know why, but like, why? You know what I mean? These things that could just be shown in game. Again, I refuse to believe that it's that difficult of a feat to pull off showing in game. reading a list is not difficult. Even if it had to be pulled through the BST that they use for it, which I don't think they have a tree for that, but like, even if it had to be pulled that way, it shouldn't be that hard, right? And it would massively reduce the barrier to entry in this way. One last point of example for this thought before I get out of here is I want to compare this to how I felt about the Atlas going from Conquerors and Echoes, by extension, into Siege of the Atlas. Right, so 319, we get this new Atlas system that is overwhelmingly complex, right? Like they made an Atlas system that was really cool, really deep, really interesting to think about from the like the speedrunning perspective and like the high level community perspective, but it is awfully difficult to approach because of how much information overload it really involves in order to like actually understand it. And even once you've heard the words leapfrog method 1,000 times, it still doesn't really fucking click, right? And under that guise, that was like one of the biggest failings of that system. And one of the major reasons I couldn't get some of my friends to play PoE sooner was just that there was like a 2-year gap where the mapping system in the game just didn't make sense to them because, well, it wasn't explained very well, like at all, because it wasn't explained. That's a really core part of this. It was not explained. But in 317, they made an Atlas system that still could use some explaining. I think we take for granted we here, I should say they, GGG takes for granted how much of the game's knowledge is just like perpetuated down from old player to new. And the lack of proper explanations on things like the way that the Atlas progression still works to this day is a little questionable, but at least this one is easier to consume information upon looking it up for. Right? Because like Diablo just like has a quest line now after completing the campaign and hitting max level. That's basically like, hey, just do all of these things so you can see all the different sides of the end game loop and what they're good for. And all the things in the game tell you where to look for them, right? Like there are little barriers to entry all over in this game that need to be ripped down before I think I could make any really meaningful crafting content for this game, because I could continue to make large, like, you know, I made videos earlier this week showing you how I crafted my wand for Hex Blast and stuff, right? Like I could do that, but that's not learning. That doesn't teach you shit. That doesn't stick with you. Like, you know what that does? It makes you go pull back up the video when you're like, wait, shit, how do I make this again in one league or one character later when you need to do the exact same fucking craft? Plus, it doesn't teach you any of the fundamentals needed to construct a craft like that so you can do it further. So you can modify it the way that I have as the scenarios become different, or modify it as you need to make it do on a different character, right? If a different character needed a craft and you couldn't find a video for it, not you in particular, you, the general audience, like a good portion of people, probably a majority of people, wouldn't be able to like work out what they should actually do to modify a crafting sequence to do it, or even what crafting sequence is close enough to base their model off of. And that's just because it's so difficult to educate about information in this game when it does not, when it's not front facing. Like explaining how to make a crafting sequence is more of like a level 2 or level 3 topic, like a type 2 or type 3 question. And the type 1 question is, hey, do you know where to find these things at? Do you know what items you actually like, what mods you want on your item? That information is not really readily available though. Okay, that's a lot of ranting for me. This is something that's been on my mind for the past like week or so, and I needed to get this out there to just get a thought out and around about how I feel about obscurity and complexity in this game, but also just to like pose an open like question out there like about complexity in the game. And like, do y'all want me to try to tackle it anyways without through the complexity? Because I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. If I try to teach the game and ignore the complexity, like it's just, it might go over heads, right? And if I try to teach through the things that are not very well explained and whatnot, my videos will end up being 97 minutes long each. And I don't really want to do that. Not because I don't think you guys would watch it, because that's a lot of fucking time, right? So, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments. It just really was just an open rant to like get some thoughts off my mind about the idea. You know, also just random little things here. I do have a Twitch and a Discord in the description. Mainly the Twitch is more the thing I care about right now, but like those are in the description. I stream like in the evenings / nights. Right now, I'm not really playing PoE that much. I am still playing ARPGs, but right now we're on a huge Torchlight kick, getting prepared for the season that I mentioned is coming up, which I'll probably do a little bit of video, something about it or whatever, just to give you guys some of my thoughts on the game at a later date. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and listening to me rant on about one of my biggest pet peeves with this game, quite frankly. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.